Hi, you are watching Global Insights on Voice of Canada, and this is Sana Haroon.
On a rocky hillside overlooking the Dead Sea, American artist Spencer Tunick took a stand against climate change as only he can. From the roof of a camper, he photographed 200 nude models, all painted stark white.
I'm going to be using and working with the brave participants to form salt pillars, which reference the salt pillars formed by springs in the Dead Sea when fresh water enters the Dead Sea, which we need a lot of.
Tunick first visited the Dead Sea a decade ago for an art installation involving 1,000 nude models. 5 years after the fact, all that was left was crusty sand because the Dead Sea, which at 430 meters below sea level is the lowest point on Earth, is seeing its water recede by roughly a meter every year, in part because Israel and Jordan have diverted much of the water that feeds into the Dead Sea for agriculture and human consumption.
It's a really important treasure here in the Middle East, and it's going to disappear really quite soon if we don't act now. So it was very important for us to come here and participate in this provocation of an art show.
Art as a tool to highlight climate change has become popular in recent years. In Florida, panthers melting in the sun eventually revealed a message: more heat, less wildlife. And off the coast of Scotland, horizontal lights installed on rocks and buildings are meant to show the dangers of rising sea levels. Like Tunick's nude installations, the goal is to shock and create something world leaders can't ignore. Mike Drolet, Global News, Toronto.
Many artists are working to open the world's eyes to the reality of our environment and the dangers of human-driven climate change ahead.
On a rocky hillside overlooking the Dead Sea, American artist Spencer Tunick took a stand against climate change as only he can. From the roof of a camper, he photographed 200 nude models, all painted stark white.
I'm going to be using and working with the brave participants to form salt pillars, which reference the salt pillars formed by springs in the Dead Sea when fresh water enters the Dead Sea, which we need a lot of.
Tunick first visited the Dead Sea a decade ago for an art installation involving 1,000 nude models. 5 years after the fact, all that was left was crusty sand because the Dead Sea, which at 430 meters below sea level is the lowest point on Earth, is seeing its water recede by roughly a meter every year, in part because Israel and Jordan have diverted much of the water that feeds into the Dead Sea for agriculture and human consumption.
It's a really important treasure here in the Middle East, and it's going to disappear really quite soon if we don't act now. So it was very important for us to come here and participate in this provocation of an art show.
Art as a tool to highlight climate change has become popular in recent years. In Florida, panthers melting in the sun eventually revealed a message: more heat, less wildlife. And off the coast of Scotland, horizontal lights installed on rocks and buildings are meant to show the dangers of rising sea levels. Like Tunick's nude installations, the goal is to shock and create something world leaders can't ignore.
Weather experts say the bomb cyclone is coming in too fast and too furious, setting up a weather whiplash for parts of North America's west coast.
Weather whiplash in California. Heavy rain is pouring down on a state scorched by 3 years of severe drought. Experts are warning of widespread flash flooding and mudslides because the land won't be able to absorb the rain coming from atmospheric rivers, described as a fire hose of moisture. Officials are warning residents to be prepared.
If they say evacuations, I'll just get the hell out of Dodge.
Ahead of the storm, Californians lined up for sandbags to protect their properties. Flood barriers were set up in downtown San Francisco. Unusual sights after California's governor declared a drought emergency for the entire state just last week. The bomb cyclone will also pack heavy winds, equivalent to a Category 3 hurricane, and waves up to 9 meters high. The Coast Guard is on alert.
People are trying to watch, Mother Nature from shore. We want to make sure that you give it enough distance. The waves have these sneaker waves, and they can come get you and pull you out way too far in that freezing water.
The Coast Guard is also trying to secure dozens of container ships parked out at sea, unable to get into West Coast ports because of labor shortages. In Northern California, the storm is expected to drop up to 2.5 meters of snow. British Columbia is bracing for an unprecedented Fierce storm.
A day and a half, possibly 2 full days of very strong winds. So we're not ruling out the possibility of power outages, down trees, down power lines, storm surge, localized flooding, all of these things. So this is a big one for us.
While this storm could bring widespread destruction, experts say it will have an upside.
This will pretty much put an end to the risk of major fires in Northern California.
This has been one of the worst wildfire and drought seasons in California's modern history and will likely end sooner than expected. But now there's the threat of other weather-related tragedies. Californians are desperate for rain, but not this much, this fast.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson suggested feeding people to animals to rebalance nature on Monday during a new conference with children on climate change.
97% of the mass of mammals on this planet is humans, and our animals, our domestic animals. Just 3% is left for the wild. So how
sad.
Do we start to rebalance it? And I think we certainly could start by rewilding our oceans. There's a lot of space to do that.
We could feed some of the human beings to the animals.
Well,
that would, couldn't we? That would be.
We could have a vote later and ask if there's any candidates.
There are about 12 companies at the moment, 12 big corporations that are producing the overwhelming bulk of the world's plastics. Big famous drinks companies that you may know, that I won't name. I don't know why not, but I won't name them. Coca-Cola, for instance, and others, which are responsible for producing huge quantities of plastic. And we've got to move away from that, and we've got to find other ways of packaging and selling our stuff, because it's ending up in the ecosystem.
I think also plastic can
was I being unfair blaming Coca-Cola?
No. I was actually saying that plastic's quite symbolic as well.
You should name some other ones.
No, I won't name any.
What about reusable toothpaste tube? Do you have a reusable toothpaste dispenser?
Not yet.
No, that's a development that we need to encourage. We need to have municipal toothpaste or something or other. We'll work this out later.
Scientists make yogurt pills for cows that stops them creating greenhouse gases.
Yogurt pills? That could be. I thought it was seaweed, but now you say it's yogurt. That could be very. I honestly don't know, but we're making progress in breeding cows that burp less. I'm told, they're more polite cows.
Sudan's ruling council head Abdel Fattah al-Burhan announced on Monday the dissolution of the government, stating that the military will run the country after his forces arrested the acting prime minister and other officials.
واحنا بنرفض تماما ترجع للوثيقه الدستوريه وتراجعها وتسلم الحكومه للمدنيين وترجع للوثيقه الدستوريه وتفك الناس اللي حبستهم ديل وترجعهم لمناصبهم ويستغيل البرهان. المطلب الاساسي بقى في الشارع استغاله البرهان.
الشرفاء يا ريت يطلعوا الشارع، يا ريت كل الشرفاء يطلعوا الشارع، ما في شغل.
ثانيا التمسك الكامل والالتزام التام بما ورد في الوثيقة الدستورية الفترة الانتقالية للعام 2019 واتفاق سلام السودان الموقع في جوبا في أكتوبر من العام 2020. ثالثا تعليق العمل بالمواد 11 12 15 16 24 3 71 72 من الوثيقة الدستورية مع الالتزام التام بالاتفاقيات والمواثيق الدولية التي وقعت خلال فترة الحكومة الانتقالية.
والله الشارع يعني يستحيل نسمح نديها للعسكر ثاني بعد اتفاق وبعد دم بتاع شهداء. دي الوثيقه بتاعتنا انها كان بيناتنا وبين الشهداء كان في عهد ونحن باقيين على العهد، يا وصلنا الحجنان يا كمان بقينا مدنيين.
A massive storm barreled toward Southern California on Monday after flooding highways, trapping trees, and causing widespread outages across the northern part of the state over the weekend.
I was back there in that room.
Thank God.
Yeah, it was destroying it, really. It hit our master bedroom in the corner and dropped over the house on our cars. And it's a 2-story, so the garage is under there. The garage is good, but our cars were pinned in. And basically the whole roof it collapsed and exposed to the weather on the inside.
Thousands of documents leaked by Facebook whistleblower Frances Haugen are supported claims the social media giant is endangering democracy, spreading misinformation, and promoting radicalization.
Facebook was built on likes and shares, and that may be its fundamental problem.
They don't want to do anything that's going to drive people away from continually scrolling, engaging with posts, and clicking and watching ads.
Thousands of documents released by a former employee turned whistleblower suggest Facebook is acutely aware of how its platform spreads misinformation, incites violence, and radicalizes people around the world.
The algorithms take people who have very mainstream interests and they push them towards extreme interests.
Mark Zuckerberg has previously called such claims illogical. But leaked documents show the company knew of the rampant spread of vaccine hesitancy in user comments. The company's internal research found that conspiracy theories like QAnon could be automatically served up to a user within 2 days of that user liking certain content. And more internal research found a lack of local staff who could monitor content in developing countries like Afghanistan, where most hate speech made it past automatic filters.
I would say that they're very well aware of the way that their platform can indoctrinate and radicalize people, because this was a study done by their own researchers that has been replicated by people like me.
Yet the documents also suggest the company faces an internal battle over what to do about it.
I became convinced that Facebook was causing harm in the world and causing division in the world.
Brian Boland worked on partnerships and product strategy at Facebook. He says he tried to make change from within, but ultimately resigned.
I'm concerned that Facebook causes divisions in a lot of areas, political being one of them, and a powerful one that we feel viscerally, but also in race and ethnicity, religion.
The central complaint remains that the company prioritizes profits over safety. In a statement to Global News, a spokesperson refuted that. The truth is, we've invested $13 billion and have over 40,000 people to do one job: keep people safe on Facebook. Yet the documents only add to the growing pressure on the company to make serious reforms or face stricter regulation, as government and Facebook's own users become increasingly aware of the platform's impact.
Keep watching Global Insights on Voice of Canada. For further updates, visit our website voiceofcanada.tv.